It's just assessment. I mean, you don't have to like go very deep into the position.
Yeah, I would say black might have a slight advantage here. The
Mm-hmm.
two white knights are very don't have good squares.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of awkwardly placed. All their squares have been taken away. D3 is about to become a weakness any moment.
Mm-hmm.
Black's knights seem to be a little bit more mobile. Black's got a
Mm-hmm.
strong pawn on the center, so rooks are well placed. So altogether, I think yeah, I would say that black is slightly
Okay.
better.
Okay. Is there anything forcing in the position for black? There are no tactics, no captures or anything. So I don't think there is anything forcing for black here, right?
Not really, no.
So in this kind of positions, I mean, please tell me how calculations will help you.
It won't.
It won't.
I
Actually,
would
it
not
won't.
calculate this position at all, right?
Yes.
You're
There
thinking
is
about how can
there
you
is
improve your pieces? How can you create a weakness here? What are some
exactly.
plans?
Calculations cannot help you in this kind of positions. Okay. So here, so let's say I made a move Queen F6. Okay.
Hmm.
So I spent around 15 minutes to play Queen F6. But what I am calculating or why I spent 15 minutes is basically I am trying to figure out that once I play this and once I play this, can white do something? That's what I'm looking at.
Hmm.
So I'm just looking at imaginary moves. Like, is it possible for white to take the pawn? Or is it possible for white to play b5? If none of these things are possible, I simply play Queen F6. I don't think like 10 moves, 15 moves. I just look at, okay, white plays Queen D2, attacks my pawn. I play King G7. Is there anything else? Nothing. Okay, let's just go. I will not spend a lot of time in these situations. I will rather focus on like making my moves.
Mm.
So when the game continued like this, yeah, so you can see pretty much we are just maneuvering here and there, right? Okay.
Okay, the reason that you calculated a move like Queen D2 is because the pawn on H6 is hanging and the queen can attack it.
Yes, because it was weak, because it was hanging. I mean, if my king was on G7, I would not even look at Queen D2 here.
Mm.
Okay, like for example, once this happened, yeah, here I was already playing moves in with like 3-4 seconds. Only thing I was like, before I make my move, all I was doing is calculating CD4, knight E5, and knight D4 stuffs. So basically, I'm just looking at, is any weird tactics working? If nothing is working, I just play the move.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
so in
And
this position,
obviously,
let's just say,
mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was gonna say
obviously,
that,
yeah. Sorry, Rafi, go ahead.
so you, you mentioned that you would still calculate Queen D2, Knight E4, this and that, right?
Yeah,
In these kind of positions, let's just say Nakamura was playing this or Carlsen was playing this, right?
yeah.
Carlsen in a 1 minute game, I don't think would even have time to calculate
Uh,
Queen D2, Queen H6, King. So how do they come up with these perfect moves with
because
just literally split seconds like that, and still
because
the calculate tactics favor them?
yeah,
How do they
because
do that?
no, it's actually very common because in a position where your opponent has no plans and only you are the guy who is pressing forward, yeah, it's much easy to play accurate moves. Like for example, like this is a classical game, right? So
Hmm.
the amount of time I spent to find this plan of tripling on the D file and playing F5 was like 5 seconds
Hmm.
because it was very obvious to me that once this is the max I can get, yeah, from my position.
Hmm.
Like perfect knights, like all pieces are perfect. King is best placed, but and I have a space advantage, right? So this is the concept that I'm using here. But in order to win even a better position, you still need a pawn break, right? Somewhere.
Right.
So I knew that my pawn break is f5. This is the move which will actually help me win the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just waiting when to play f5. So I made my final, improving move, h5. And now I know that if I don't play f5, I don't have any chance to further improve because on the queen side, I don't have anything. So to get this done, I actually spent like 5 seconds. So imagine if I am spending 5 seconds, don't you think actually Magnus and all can do this under like couple of seconds?
Yeah.
For sure, yeah, because here the thing is white is not doing anything.
Mm.
Okay. So in these kind of cases, like let's just say you are playing this position as black, and hypothetically, let's assume you somehow, for some reasons, you didn't go for the move f5 in the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the game ended in a draw. Now, to address this weakness, if I will suggest you should have calculated f5, then it's a mistake. A calculation training session won't help you play f5 in the future as well, or a move like f5 in the
You
future
have to
as well.
consider the idea of f5 in
Yes,
order
you
to even
have to
calculate that,
spot.
right? You have to know
Yeah,
that
you have to.
conceptually.
Yes, you have to spot f5 because calculating f5 is not a big deal. Yeah, you just know that f5. Am I fine or not? Yes, I'm fine. Okay, what if white doesn't take? Okay, I'm gonna push f4. It's
Right.
something like this.
Right.
It's never the fact that I can calculate this much, that much. It's not like that. But what happens is people confuse a move like f5, and they think it's a missed tactics or it's a missed attacking move.
Mm-hmm.
And they instantly suggest you methods, like they will start suggesting you positions from attacking situations and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there it's a different thing. But this position has nothing to do with calculation, nothing to do with anything at all. Okay, as the game proceeded, I mean, you can see when the game proceeded like this. Okay, here you of course have to make a small calculation, right? That once I
Yeah.
trip on the F file and I can take this. So white is out of moves, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
This is a calculation. Like, for example, what happens? So you need to spot Rook F4 and, okay, Rook H4, all this. But these are not like extremely dangerous calculation also, yeah? It's pretty one-sided calculation.
All right.
For example, let's say you are pretty bad at calculation. Like you fail to even solve 1, 2 moves puzzles. But I think, Rafi, in an instant, you will find a move like Rook F4 or Knight F4 in this position.
Yep.
Because you know that I have to go to F4.
Yep.
Whenever you see this, you know that, I mean, you are pretty well known with the concept of outpost. So
Yep.
you will play this move. There is no way you will miss this move.
Yeah, I will find that
This
move in
also,
a split second that something has to go on f4. Either my
yeah,
knight or my
you
rook.
will for sure you will do that. I mean, I have been training with you for a long time. Yeah? I know Rook F4 is a move which you will not miss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I wanted to show you where this changes. Okay, so okay, here, Rafi, only calculation can help you. In these kind of positions, it's only calculation which can help you. Conceptually, you cannot make a move here.
Do you think that's the case? Or is it that only calculation can help you find the win here, or the save here, or the draw here? Because
Uh,
concepts can still find you a move here. You could still always
no,
play a move that just doesn't uh
I was mainly meaning that calculation can help you find the best way to proceed. Conceptually, you can play pretty regular moves, but you might miss the knockout blow.
Right. So what I would say is that even in positions where tactics and calculation may decide, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even then, let's just say you don't have any calculating abilities, but you have
Mm-hmm.
really good conceptual understanding of the game, you'll still play a decent move, right? Surely I'm not going to play King F2 here, right? I won't play, I don't know, D5 here, right? I'm not going to play that something that clearly just loses the game on the spot just because I have a good, like here, let's just say I didn't do any calculating, right? I can still put myself through those questions of saying, okay, what is my least active piece and what is the most active place where I can put it? Or where is a point where I can create a weakness and how can I attack that weakness, right? Where's the weaknesses? How can I improve one of my pieces? Even if I just put myself through those questions, I'm sure I can find at least a decent enough move, right? So imagine
Yes.
if those concepts were enhanced by seeing hundreds and hundreds of Grandmaster games from positions very similar to this one. Wouldn't I be able to kind of have a sixth sense almost like, hey, in these sort of positions, usually most of these grandmasters played a move like knight e5, rook e5, b3, whatever it may be. Don't you think that even without the concrete calculations, you'd be able to come up with a decent move in a scenario like
You
this?
can. You can come up with a decent move. In these positions, you can come up with a decent move.
Hmm.
For sure, you can come up with a decent move. That's not a problem. But what I was trying to say is, in these kind of positions, for example, let's say you fail to spot this Rook E6 and some ideas like this, okay?
Hmm.
Hypothetically, I'm just speaking. Let's say, like for example, Rook E3 is the strongest move here, yeah? So you can see the position is a bit messy, right?
Hmm.
I mean, it's not the regular Rafi kind of positions that you play where pieces are all defended. Here, everything is almost hanging. Both sides
Hmm.
are pinning an important piece. So you can see, yeah, it's not a balanced position.
Right.
Okay. And this imbalanced position, it's your choice as well. So if you want, you can enter into this position. It was not also like an only move for white. Yeah, white could have played anything in that position, as you said.
Hmm.
So here, if you miss a move like Rook E3 at this point, this is a calculation problem.
Hmm.
Okay. It's so to solve, like for example, I mean, I'm sure if you will think a bit, you are going to play Rook E6 anyway in this position.
Hmm.
Okay, because you're pinning and it's difficult to defend the piece and all that stuff. Yeah. But but there is a good chance when you start this position, I mean, all this you can still find. But there is a good chance you might not play knight g5, thinking queen d4 is coming. Or after this, there is a good chance king h1 will be your candidate move, which you will play over the board, not rook e3. Especially when you are trying to foresee the position from here, because all this is pretty forcing, yeah? I mean, I don't think you will be sacrificing an exchange just based on your intuition, right?
Hmm.
So to address this issue, only, I mean, here the calculation exercises or the training sessions can help you. But that's it. I mean, that's pretty much what calculations actually mean in the game.
Got it.
Okay. And to be very honest, so this whole game, so I was playing as the white side here. I actually started calculating, at which point. So when my opponent played Rook D8, this is where I actually started calculating. Till this moment, I didn't even spend like more than 20 seconds every move. Here, I actually spent around 40 minutes to decide what I'm supposed to do here. But till this moment, because everything is so natural, right? I
Hmm.
mean, in this position, Rafi, what else white can do here? Two concepts, yeah? Either improve your pieces or make a pawn break. So
Yep.
pawn break seemed very natural to me. Same thing, as soon as this guy gets developed, okay, second pawn break, yeah. So I have always seen that conceptual, like conceptual moves are more helpful. Okay, this is my case because I play multiple positions, multiple openings, and I prefer to, like, especially if I'm going for a win, I prefer to keep things dynamic so that there are chances of a mistake from both sides, chances to get into like some uncompromising position, chances to get your opponent out of your preparation. So many things I take into consideration.
Okay,
But
so I'm sorry, go
yeah,
ahead, go
yeah.
ahead.
But when we're talking about your game, you don't have such a huge opening repertoire as well. So you
Mm-hmm.
will be getting similar kind of positions, and with every game you play, you are actually getting better at those positions.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, I mean, to help you in this situation, calculation is not the, I mean, calculation exercises is not the right way to proceed.
Okay, so this example, the previous example of Rook E6, do you
Mhm.
think that you are able to spot Rook E6 so quickly because of your calculation training work that you've done, or your positional pattern recognition training, where you've seen enough Grandmaster games where this Rook E6 worked to where you just went
Uh,
ahead and played it? What
actually,
what type of training
actually,
helps you with spotting those kind of moves?
Actually, to be very honest, in this position, it was more like a reflex action, yeah. That the the piece which was uh attacked, the defender just left it.
Hmm. What was Black's
So
last move?
the black moved his rook from e8 to d8.
Hmm.
So it's like a reflex because we have seen so many positions where a hanging bishop or sometimes even on a defended bishop on e6, a
Hmm.
sacrifice comes.
Hmm.
On top of it, the king is still on the same diagonal, yeah.
Hmm.
So naturally, I will be looking for rook e6. I mean, I will consider rook e6 first.
Because you're
Calculate.
recognizing the
Yes, recognizing that rook e6 is a possibility here. It's from seeing a lot of games where rook e6 has been played.
right. That's exactly what I was trying to highlight, is that my main argument with him was that to learn calculation trading, I don't think you have to sit there and try to solve them. I think you
No, no,
can
no, no,
look at
that
those
doesn't help.
positions and study what other people did in those scenarios to build that same sense. Because from what I understand about chess, it's a pattern recognition thing, right? Human beings are really, really, really good at recognizing patterns that they have seen before. So from that
Uh,
perspective, what if the focus was like seeing the tactics over and over and getting through as many games, seeing those tactics play out as much as possible? I think that that would give you more benefit than staring at one for 30 minutes, trying to build those muscles in your head to try to force yourself to maneuver and move pieces, in your head. I feel like the more benefit would come from seeing many, many, many patterns being played out, even though you're not the one actually solving it.
no, but that's like a proven method. Yeah. See, I will help you with this example. A move like rook e6 comes with a lot of practice where you have just seen rook e6 works nicely in many games, in many examples.
Hmm.
To spot rook e3 from that position, that's where calculation helps you.
Mm,
This is not a common theme. You will not find it in like many games.
mm,
But rook e6 is not like a, I mean, I think if I was also pretty bad at calculation, I will still consider rook e6 in the position.
mm,
Because I have just seen more than enough examples to know that a move like rook e6 can work or might work. So I'm I mean, even if I will reject it, I will still consider it first.
Mm.
Okay. And by the way, the thing you are talking about, yeah. So I will also show you one thing. So whenever we prepare in such a position, yeah. So one method of preparation is we check the opening books, okay?
Hmm.
So we see what is the computer recommended move, where there are some games, so some statistics and stuff like that. But what we do whenever we prepare, we always make a quick search on the internet. So online database basically. Okay.
Hmm.
And what I personally do, irrespective of the players or the or the result or the like, is it a latest game or an old game? I try to just go through all the games just to understand like what happens.
Right.
Okay. So I will always, the moment when I played F3 and the position gets a bit forcing, yeah. So all available games, I mean, I won't be spending a lot of time in understanding what happened in each and every game, but I will at least try to get an idea where the pieces usually go. So
Do you
which
think
piece
every
will
one of
go?
those types of moves is attached to some type of a principle or a concept that can be learned and applied in other scenarios? Because to
Yeah,
me, almost everything in chess, I feel like, is somehow tied to a concept.
it is. It is.
Everything can be explained by a here is the concept of this. That's why we played that move. Here is the principle of that. That's why that move tended to
No,
work.
but
Or even in calculation scenarios, if you think about the most complicated calculations, right?
mhm,
Like you explained that Magnus playing against me, he has 1 minute
mhm.
because he will have already put his position pieces in a certain way that they coordinate well. Even if he doesn't calculate, the tactics will still favor him just because his pieces are
Obviously.
well placed, right? And
Exactly.
he
Yeah.
and he understands those kind of positions well. So that's why I think like in order to like like I don't know, this was a quote from Daniel Wrench, I believe one of his videos. He said that tactics are slave to strategy. If you have
Obviously,
really, really good
because
strategy, the tactics will naturally tend to favor you, even in those complicated
no, but
positions.
this Rafi, I mean, I 100% agree. I actually believe that the training method is a, like, in general, what happens is okay, I mean, so let's just get out of here for a bit. So normally, how do we train puzzles? Yeah. So let's say we go here and we open something and we see this position and we start thinking, right, in this situation.
Hmm.
So here there are many moves and you basically start calculating, right?
Yep.
That your queen is attacked. So you will be naturally considering moves like queen d8, queen g5. Okay, no other moves to defend the queen means knight d5. So you start already looking at these kind of moves. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure that's what we do. But what we are missing is we actually kind of forgot how this position came.
Hmm.
To get to an attacking tactical position, there is always some sort of a strategy followed. So,
Hmm.
for example, yeah, let's have a look at this one. Okay. So, what do you think, Rafi, here? What can be White's tactics here? Just, I mean, whatever you feel like. What can be the tactics?
Definitely something on d5 is possible.
100%,
Knight
right?
takes, rook takes, something like that.
100%. Like
Um,
when I look at the position, the first thing that comes to my mind is I can take,
mhm.
he has to take, and I need to attack the bishop. That's it.
Again,
So,
yeah.
for example, this, and something like this, yeah.
Right.
This should be winning because I am winning this piece as black cannot defend the bishop.
Peace.
He
Yep.
has no pieces to defend the bishop. But if you notice, like how the game continued, yeah, you will see from this moment itself, White has anticipated this thing. That's why he played Rook D1.
Hmm.
And that's why he played knight c3. And that's why he opened up the position to his favor as well, because he knew that something will happen on d5. So this is where strategy comes into work.
So it's okay. Anticipating where the future weaknesses might arise or might be provoked to create. How,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
this is actually supporting whatever you said you heard from the Danny Wrench video, yeah?
Right.
Without strategy, there cannot be tactics.
Hmm.
I mean, blunders I'm not considering, yeah? Blunders are different.
Hmm.
But without conceptual, or without, let's just say, strategy and concepts, you cannot even get to a tactical position. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And so here what happens is, I mean, the problem is we are always given positions like this, and we say white to play, and we go knight d5, yeah, which is very
Hmm.
good. But this actually increases your alertness in the game. So, I was talking about the previous game, yeah, where I was saying that I always used to check for all these small captures, right?
Hmm.
This is what like puzzle solving does.
Hmm.
You constantly calculate all these tricky moves. I mean,
Yep.
even if they seem impossible, you just have a look at those moves just in order to eliminate them. That's
Right.
it. But this also doesn't help your calculation to increase, yeah?
I don't think so either, because you're spending time calculating things that you could have weeded out if you had a better strategic understanding. Just the
Obviously.
same way when you're playing your dad at chess,
Mhm.
you can clearly see your dad is calculating that position way deeper than you, and he is in his head,
He
right?
is counting
And you're
moves
not even
actually.
thinking about the next, nothing past the next move in your head. You
Yes.
just think
Yeah.
about the next move for a split second, and then your mind is completely, you're watching TV. But your dad is over here trying to play out the next six moves in his head, and he still loses the game.
Yeah, it happens because he is, first of all, not familiar with the position,
Right.
and he is trying to calculate in a position where nothing is forcing. On the
Right.
other hand, I know that position. I understand which pieces should go where,
Yep.
and that's pretty much it, right? You don't need anything else.
We could say that improving your strategical understanding of the game
Hmm.
eliminates unnecessary candidate moves. It narrows down your choice of candidate moves in any position.
Yes, of course.
And I think one of the secrets to these stronger players, and you can confirm if since you are one, is that in any position, right? Like just even when me and you play together, your
Hmm.
mind automatically goes to just to select like two, three moves. Whereas
Yes.
I, in my mind, am calculating this capture, that threat, that potential threat. You even hear me vocalizing things, right? That are just you, you don't even consider them as threats. But to me, they're
Yes.
potential threats. I think
This.
the main reason for that is because your positional understanding and your experience seeing these positions is so much more than me that you don't even consider those ideas. You won't even spend a second calculating them because you already know that the main battle revolves around points A, B, and C here,
Mhm.
right?
Definitely, yes. This has happened many times, even in our analysis. Sometimes I know that you would like speak out your thought processes, yeah, that this is what I'm trying to do, this is what I'm considering. There are like multiple instances when you will be talking about a variation, and only then I would realize that, oh, there was such a variation which was possible, because I just have this intuition that that sort of tactics won't work, or
Right.
that sort of maneuver is not correct for the position.
Hmm.
And that actually happens, how to say, that happens because I have seen that particular position or such similar positions multiple times, and I have never seen such a maneuver happening.
Right.
So I always believe that if you get more and more like comfortable known positions, somehow you are much stronger in that. I mean, even without you realizing it, you automatically play that particular, like that same position much better than the previous time you faced it.
All right.
Because I will just show you one thing. I mean, since we are talking about this particular thing, yeah, this happened with me exactly. And so, I mean, surprisingly, this is exactly the tournament where it happened. So I actually had a game in, I think in the third round. Oh, sorry, not this one. This one. So I was playing as black, and my opponent played this setup in the roll-up. Okay.
Mhm.
And here you can see the theoretical move is knight d4. I mean, let's just check even online. So you will see knight d4 is the top move. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the most recommended move, let's just say. So I played knight d4, and the position which I got was something like this. And okay, I lost the game for a completely different reason, but I got this position. And I was not happy with my position. Not happy as in I was not looking to play such an imbalanced game this round.
Mhm.
With me playing on the queen side, he playing on the king side, his knight getting to f5. So this is not something which I in general wanted to even enter.
Mhm.
So after this, like in the previous event in suggest, I exactly got somebody who played the same event. I mean, the same position basically. So you can see, yeah,
Mhm.
it's the same position, right? But here I didn't go knight d4. Like I didn't go for bishop g4. So this whole concept of bishop g4, bishop e3, I avoided. I just played h6 and bishop e6 because I knew that I mean, it doesn't matter which move is correct because when we ask this is actually a problem because of the computer. Like when we ask the computer suggests many things, yeah, and you can see pretty much everything has very similar evaluation. So I prefer to choose the move which gives me, I mean, the resulting position should be more pleasant and easily understandable for me.
Yep.
It's not about playing the best move all the time. Yeah.
Right. I always have it turned on to show all the moves, not because I think that playing each of them is means gives me the exact equal position. That is definitely not true, but rather to learn more ideas or more possibilities that could have played out from that position that I could consider. Especially for
Hmm.
opening, like me and you did this, right? We looked at the
Yeah.
top 5 moves being played suggested by computer people, whatever, and we played out a few more moves to see how does this result and do I like it? If so, then let's consider playing this thing
Yes.
or even
Yes.
other positions. Because
Exactly.
when you look at those moves, really, if you think about it, right? If you're looking, I think personally, one of the best things you can do to improve your chess is to analyze your own games. That is, if
Oh
I were
yeah,
to
of
pick
course.
one thing to do for the rest of my life to get better at chess, that is what I would pick, first of all. So when you do your own analysis of your own games and you run the engine like that, I know some people literally, I've seen those nerds before that just sit there and they're like, "Oh, this is 0.15% better. I made a mistake. I should have played that one." I never approach it like that. I don't even care about the computer's evaluation, to be honest with you. I only have that turned on to see what other things could I have tried in this position. And if I
Hmm.
had gone down that route, would I have liked the resulting position? Because ultimately, even if you have a winning position, but you're not comfortable, I don't think you can successfully bring home the win, right? Computer is calculating, I think, based on brute force calculation. Like, I feel like humans play chess so much more differently than that. So even from
Yes.
that perspective, like humans are always relying on positions where we feel comfortable that we
Hmm.
can recognize. So from that perspective, I would always try to force the game into a direction that I feel more familiar with,
I mean,
right?
I actually 100% agree with you because even till date, the only time I mean, whenever I analyze my game, I switch on the computer, but I actually never, like, for example, when I analyze this game, I look at the computer. So let's just say that the position is showing slight better for white, right? I am
Hmm.
actually least bothered about this evaluation right now. I really don't care that I did not play queen c8 or knight a5, I chose the third move or the fourth move. I don't care about it. I
Mhm.
just check if I am missing something tactically.
Right.
Like for example, yeah, when I get to this position,
Yep.
here I see like, was it like a very good idea to take the pawn, or my c5 judgment was fine?
Right.
I focus here on.
For
And if
tactics, it's
you
the
see
same.
there
Yep.
is a no, yeah, if I see there is a not a lot of difference, I actually don't even consider. So you can see the evaluation, right? If I
Yep.
take the pawn, it's same. If I play c5, it's pretty much the same. It's
Hmm.
because in a from a human perspective, 0.0 and 0.3, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, there is not
Same
a lot
thing.
of.
Yep.
So I will be not bothered of like missing out on bc4. I will say that okay, my evaluation was correct. Like my judgment of the position was correct. So
Hmm.
I will not mark c5 as a mistake at least.
Yeah.
And I have been doing this on not just, I mean, on my own. It's actually recommended to me by multiple coaches as well.
Hmm.
So and I mean, for me, like at that time at least, almost all the coaches were like 2600 plus grandmasters. Yeah.
Hmm.
So so I don't think, I mean, for example, let's say you lose one tactically sharp game, okay?
Hmm.
It's not necessary that only calculation was your error in that game. There are multiple things which could have gone wrong in that game.
Yep.
It's never just calculation. Calculation is important, but that's pretty much for like chess in general, yeah.
It can't be. Say that even for myself, right? Even this past tournament, I haven't played a single game of chess really, except for a few games online here and there, in about almost what, year and 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went into the first round game. It's a game in 60. I went 20 minutes late, and I'm playing a guy
Yeah.
rated 2300. I'm
Yes.
telling you, in that entire game, there was not a single point where I've calculated more than about 4 or 5 moves because I couldn't. I didn't have the time. I went with
Yeah.
my gut feelings, and I said, I feel like this looks good. Let me just go ahead and play it. And I think you saw that game. I was, even though I did not get a good position out of the opening, but I didn't outright lose, right? And then I came back and was winning the game even.
And you are winning. Yeah,
Even
exactly.
even this personal example tells me that I don't think that my improvement really in chess from 1700 to 1900 came from all these mate and two puzzles and these kind of things, but rather it came from just having a deeper understanding and a sixth sense of the types of moves that work out in these kind of positions and really sticking with principles as much as possible and only deviating if there's a, like you said, is if there's a tactical reason for me to do so.
Mm-hmm. True.
And I played in all three games like that. Okay, granted, I lost all three games, but I personally believe that those games were lost because of rustiness and yes, of course you have to stay tactically sharp. I'm by no means saying that before a tournament you should not do puzzle rush because you need to still sharpen the brain enough to be able to catch those 3, 4 move type of tactics, spot them, carry them out quickly, right? But I think if
Mm-hmm.
I were to pick my training schedule, let's just say I had an hour to train every day, right? I'm not talking about playing chess, that's a separate thing. I would say that I would
Mm-hmm.
probably spend about 75 to 80% of that time studying other Grandmaster games, going over these principles, and maybe a quarter or less of that time doing any sort of tactical training of any type. Maybe like 20%, not more than that for sure.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. I actually think there is the calculation is very important, but it's not the only thing where you should be focused at. Because I mean, I have my reasons. Because first of all, you are not a player who experiments a lot with the openings. You
Mhm.
are pretty principled, yeah, when it comes to the openings. You.
I want to simplify chess as
Mhm.
much as I can. And if there is any one thing that I can say was the biggest pivotal moment in my life in chess, I
Mhm.
have to give that credit to Shrey Smith.
Yeah,
Because when
definitely. Yeah.
he told me those principles, right? Principle, like he said, chess, man, is a game of activity. Even at 1700, that was a new concept to me. Just the
Mhm.
idea that you should always try to put your pieces, generally speaking, on squares where they attack the most number of squares. Even
Mm-hmm.
by 1700, that concept was never introduced and explained to me like that. And
Mm-hmm.
just going through those simple few moves, principle of attack, principle of pushing your pieces back. You should push your enemy's pieces back anytime you can, right? You should make a point of attack and create a weakness and then attack that weakness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Principle of least active piece, principle of castle. These things were never explained to me like that. And as a result, before that, I would think about all these possibilities, every single position. I would think about all the scenarios that could happen, go wrong, this and that, right? But ever since I started following that, chess became at least 10 times simpler of a game for me. Because in any given position now, I know for sure that's my crutch that I can hold on to at least come up with a decent move. It will not always be the right move, as you pointed out. Tactics will, many times, like Rook E3, will throw those principles out the window. But I would say like 90% of the time it works. Like you can literally
Uh,
not even think about anything else and just play the move that fits those principles and still 90% of the time be right, I think.
I think yes. I mean, I have been following those kind of principles even till now in my games. So I think if the position is not like super sharp, uh, I mean, okay, imbalanced basically, then those principles work very nicely
Hmm.
without any problem.
And you can dictate how my games, I believe, are going to be far less tactically sharp than Mugdo's games, right? Because if
Yeah,
a
yeah.
scenario comes up where I can choose to go into a tactically sharp line where I may have a slight advantage, or
Mm-hmm.
go into a much more balanced position where I won't necessarily have the advantage, but will be comfortable, I generally will choose these kind of simpler positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can, to some extent, kind of dictate. I mean, you can't always dictate. Things get sharp anyway, but you can dictate to some extent, I think, right? And if we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about an incremental gain, so for me, I'm not trying to become a grandmaster. I have no interest in that. I'm not even trying to become a national master this year. If I have a very specific goal, like 1900 to 2000, what are the
Mm-hmm.
areas that I need to improve? I feel like instead of trying to fix all of my weaknesses in chess, what if I focused on the things that I'm already good at that has given me success so far and do more of that is the way I'm
Uh,
approaching it. Like if I'm just
Actually,
using basketball as an example, right? Steph
yeah.
Curry, he's ambidextrous, uses both hands. Let's just
Yes.
say I'm really, really good at right-handed with my basketball. I can dribble between the legs, I can dunk with my right hand, I can shoot threes with my right hand. I can do all these things. Why would I all of a sudden start thinking, okay, what if I could do it with my left hand also? Let me start
There's
practicing
no
that.
point. No, but
Right?
no, but this is also something which a lot of coaches ignore. Like normally you would have seen, I mean, if you have overheard some interactions, you would see that people are always very concerned about their weaknesses, right? They
Hmm.
always ask, what's wrong with my game? Like what I should do to improve, what area I should work on to improve, what mistakes I should eliminate, yeah? Which is a very valid question. But a very important part of the training is also to work on your strengths.
Hmm.
Like there are always some areas in your game where you are actually much better than your other areas of the game.
Hmm.
Like for me, it was dynamic positions. I was really good at dynamic positions. I was also pretty good at equal end games. Like for example, if I'm playing with somebody slightly like lesser rated to me, not so much, like 50 points or
Hmm.
something. From a very equal endgame, I can outplay.
Yep.
So let's just say if I'm actually better at those things, it doesn't mean that I will now switch to solving tactics or learn only opposite side castling situations so that I don't go into equal endgames. It's a bad thing.
Yep.
I should rather, I mean, it's a good thing to learn the other way, but I should also spend that much amount of time in, for example, seeing Capablanca's game, or let's just say even Magnus Carlsen's game, yeah, how he
Hmm.
grinds out those dry positions. Because I'm
Yep.
also good at it. Why will I instantly switch my style and start looking at Mikhail Tal's game to, or for example, follow
Right.
Alexis Shirov's? It's a different thing.
Karpov was
So
never inspired by Kasparov and said suddenly decide somewhere down the line, you know what? Look at this Kasparov. Like he plays so tactically sharp and he beats me a lot of times. Let me play like him. He still kept his own style.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I mean, during that whole World Championship match, I don't think both the players changed anything. Yeah.
Right.
they stuck to what they were good at. But I think it's normal. Yeah, I mean, it will be very weird if Lionel Messi suddenly decides to become right-footed, and start shooting
Right.
from distance. Yeah.
Right. Just to fix his
So
weakness of his right foot.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It makes no sense. I mean, let's just imagine he switches his position where he's more useful using the right foot. I mean, it makes no
Hmm.
sense, right? He is good at
Right.
left foot. So I think working on the strength is also pretty good, and we should be working on strengths. Like that is one reason why I mean I am actually pretty like as a player, I would say I'm pretty much well updated with theory, and I have a very broad repertoire. But even till date, I always try to add more lines. I always try to check my openings, like refresh my memory. I always try to see that if there are any new updates. So
Hmm.
it actually doesn't make me weak, yeah. It makes me better at what I'm already good at.
Hmm.
So if
Yeah.
if man is I mean I think if he is very much focused on calculation, probably it's a good thing. But I would like, this is my personal opinion, that just calculation is not the way to go forward with right now,
Hmm.
because you are at such a stage, and we don't have any any super ambitious target points, yeah, like, or goals or something.
Nope.
So we should do it in your comfort. Like the training method should be at your comfort.
Yep.
Like it should be whatever suits you, not the Soviet type of training. Yeah, that whatever,
Oh.
like you have to do end games. Because really, Rafi, I mean, at your rating range, so when I was around that age, um, we used to solve. I'll just give you a quick example, okay? So we used to solve positions like this. So how basically white can win this? What are the methods or what are the possibilities where white can win this? And
Mm-hmm.
if you look at it, yeah, so these things we used to solve. But I don't think this endgame will help you at all, Rafi, right now.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think. See, if you ask any professional coach, and if you ask like, should I work on rook endgames? I'm pretty sure the answer will be 100%. You should work on rook endgames.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think this is the time you should be working on Rook Games. But Rook Games is, I mean, I would say to some extent, it's even more important than calculations. Yeah.
Because they happen so commonly, right?
Yeah, it's very
Just because
common.
yeah,
and
very tricky.
uh, and they're tricky. Yeah. Because see, the point is, if you don't know this particular idea of Rook F8, then you cannot win.
Hmm.
You have to know this particular idea only. You don't have a lot of options. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think this is also important. But now let's imagine, Rafi. So let's say we are meeting 4 or 5 times a week, and I give you this position, and we start going through each and every move and analyzing, and obviously like an hour or two will pass,
I think that's
and we will,
meaningless for
yeah,
considering
I
my
mean,
rules.
I mean, we will solve like maybe two positions or three positions in an hour.
Right. Right.
But what did we gain? Like, actually, do you think? I mean, are we gaining something substantial?
Yes. I
Maybe in
would
the
say
long run. Maybe in the long run, yeah, but that's
right.
it.
I feel more bullish about the idea that if given the 1 hour, it's better that I get exposed to more patterns in that 1 hour than one or
True.
two patterns, but I just simply spend more time trying to calculate them. Because I'm
Definitely,
seeing
yes.
chess as a literally nothing but just a pattern recognition game. And I know that from psychology, at least, that we use heuristics, right? The human brain has
Yeah,
to
yeah,
think about in the jungle so many different types of things. That's why we have cognitive biases. That's why we
yeah,
make judgments, right? Quick judgments.
yes,
We have stereotypes. All of these things lead to one thing, which is pattern recognition. We want to quickly recognize a pattern, which is danger, food, mate, whatever we're trying to find out, and just to neglect all other noise in our environment, let's just say, right? So chess, when we play chess, I feel like our brains work similarly, right? We're just trying to figure out how can we eliminate all the other possible moves and scenarios that don't work and just focus on what works the best in those kind of positions, right? That's like literally what I feel like good players are really good at doing. They're just really good at focusing in on just a couple of things immediately based on their experience of seeing those similar type of positions. From that perspective, I would almost argue that it's better investment of our time to expose me to lots and lots and lots of different patterns and how those patterns played out each time. How do these grandmasters treat those positions instead of spending, which I have done this also with, I told you with Shrave, and he made me do these mate and twos. He made me do these tactical positions where we looked at the same thing for almost an hour. I don't
Uh,
know because the human brain, I think, at least in my level, because considering that I'm not a child and I have so
mhm.
many other things to consider, I don't know how much better my brain is going to be capable of being able to calculate deeper and further. I think that I'm already at my capacity to some extent in that sense, right? I mean, I'm sure I
Mhm.
can get better at it, but not so much better to where I'm just going to be calculating like you. You're calculating, you probably could calculate 15 position moves in a position or maybe 20. It would take me so much time to get to your level in that training. Whereas by focusing more on my crystallized knowledge of chess as opposed to my calculating abilities, let's just say, I feel like I could see much better improvement faster, right? Because I
Mhm.
would just focus on those, memorizing those patterns, seeing those patterns, exposing myself to those patterns, understanding those concepts, and trying to practice playing out those concepts religiously in my games and putting myself in that habit of thinking in that kind of way. Now, I will
Uh,
say one thing though. I think we talked about me playing some other openings. I think that I will still get benefit from that, not because that I'm gonna be suddenly learning all these different type of patterns and all this thing that's going to help me because ultimately I'm sticking with those same openings that these other openings will not have, right? But I
mhm.
think that kind of thing will help me now because of confidence. Because I'm so scared when the game does become complicated and sharp.
Yeah.
I think
No,
playing those kind of
but
positions will increase my confidence level.
yeah, but we actually discussed this, right? I mean, we were suggesting it was not more about different openings. It was more
Hmm.
about choosing lines which are more sharper.
Right.
I mean, I never recommended you to completely, let's say, abandon D4 and start playing E4, yeah, or give up
Hmm.
Caro-Can and start playing Sicilian. It was not the case. It
Hmm.
was more like choosing some sharper options, yeah, let's just say. So
Got it.
for example, if you have been playing, let's say in the D4 lines, if you have been playing the exchange variation in the Slav, maybe we will go for the semi-Slav. It's more
Yep.
like that.
Also, another reason is that I've gotten very bored of playing the same thing over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I have been playing these same openings for at least like four since 2020. Yeah, 2020. I worked with Shrey, right? In 2021 or something, I started working with you. Since then,
Yeah.
I have not changed my openings at all, and I feel like it's just boring. So even
I
from that
think
perspective, I think I should, like you said, I should try a little bit of something different.
no, I think we made a small opening change around 2022, I would say, when
Hmm.
we revamped your repertoire, yeah, like from the white side. And
Hmm.
uh, and we made no, okay, at that time we actually made your repertoire a bit more deeper, but the lines were still the same.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember it. We didn't like, I mean, we didn't make a lot of changes. We just added a few things.
Hmm.
Okay.
So with Naim, we basically had a long 3 hour conversation about this whole thing the other day, 2 hour, and then we basically decided that he and I will just work on this thing right here. He will take me
Mhm.
through, we will pick a book. He's gonna take me through the book and explain all those concepts as best as he can. We will try to analyze
Mhm.
the games. We'll try to see how these masters play these scenarios out, and then we will try to
Mhm.
mimic those things in my game, basically. So what do
But
you
but
think
Rafi,
me
I
and
would
you
say
could, sorry, go ahead, go
I,
ahead.
I would say it should be the other way around. Yeah. I mean, I would say that you should pick the book and you should follow it. I mean, you should pick the player, you should pick the games, and it's because there is always this thing. Yeah. If you choose, you at least know what you are getting into
Mm,
because you will have some sort of a, like, let's just say, yeah, I mean, name top three players whose games you would like to analyze on a regular basis.
Mhm,
So let's say it's, for example, let it be Magnus, Hikaru, and Fabiano, yeah, Caruana.
mhm, mhm,
But imagine now, let's say I bring a book which has the best games of like Michael Adams or something like that. It's
mhm.
that would be pretty disappointing, right?
Right.
So maybe you also pick like, I mean, you should just say that, okay, these are the guys I want to check first.
Makes sense.
It's much easier. I would actually recommend, I mean, if that's the case, I can even recommend you some books. You can just start
Yeah.
with that.
So I'll tell you the books that had the most impact in my chess development at throughout different
Hmm.
phases, right? I the book that had the by far the biggest impact on my chess is How to Reassess Your Chess by Jeremy Silman.
Yeah. Stillman's.
I want
Yeah.
some book like that, but for 2000 level player. What would be the equivalent of that?
Positional Understanding by Gelfand.
Positional Understanding by Boris Gelfand.
Yeah. If you are looking for some positional stuff, it's very good. Actually, there is one more as well, The Art of Exchanges. It's by a Russian author, Valery Alexeyev or something like that. I mean, the whole book is all about how do you decide when to make an exchange, when not to exchange, when to keep the pieces, and stuff like that. That's also a very useful book. You can
There was
actually
one.
start with that one.
Uh-huh, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I was saying you can actually start with that one. That's much easier than the Gelfand's book.
Got it. Okay. The other book that my one of my friends, I think he's 2000, but he
Hmm.
said I asked him what book do you think helped you get because I watched him go from like 1750 or whatever to like 19 almost 2000. And he said that the book that helped him the most was the Soviet Chess Primer. Have you ever heard this
Yeah,
book and what are your
okay.
views on this one?
Yeah, that's of course, but okay. I mean, I think the Gelfand book covers that anyway, so it's not that
Got it.
difficult. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, the Gelfand is a much modern book. Yeah, it covers like some modern day chess as well. So
Okay. So Naim and I will work on that.
yeah,
What do you think me and you can work on?
I think pretty much the same thing, just
Okay.
the practical end game part.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure he's covering some more middle games, yeah, because that's his
Yep.
inclination.
I know for
So
sure my endgame is the weakest area of my chess. There's no
yes.
because in that
So
endgame, I don't know those concepts at all. I have no
yeah,
idea what I should be doing.
yeah, I mean, I will be taking care of the end game part. I mean, we will see some positions from practical games,
Hmm.
and we'll try to understand that end game. It won't be like pure end games like this, yeah. There will be multiple pieces,
Hmm.
just like a plain end game. So I'll take care of that. No
Sure.
problem.
And you saw that also, I'm sure you can agree, just from my last tournament in that night end game,
Mm-hmm.
how I lost that. There was almost no way to lose that game, and I still managed to win
Yeah,
it.
of course, of course. I mean, it was a surprise that how, I mean, you had to actually put an extra effort to lose that game, you know?
Right, right.
So that actually shows the lack of understanding. That's what I'm saying.
Because I'm operating from almost nothing in those end games. In the openings,
Yeah,
I could put myself through those things, right? But in the
yeah,
end game, those principles run out. What of my pieces am I gonna? What's my least active piece in a king knight endgame? You know, what is my where can I put the piece where they attack the most number of squares? Those principles are out the window.
yeah.
Endgame
That's
principles
the
are at play,
problem.
and I don't know any of them. I don't know. I've
Yeah.
never formally studied endgame before in my life.
No, the end game part, Rafi, I'll take care of it. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
Okay. Perfect. I guess Rafi will probably have to end for today
Sure.
here. I have
Yeah.
one more session after yours.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I guess I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, man. Yeah. Whenever you get free, just message me and we'll make it happen.
Sure. Okay, will do.
Okay. Thank you, man.
Thanks. Okay,
Bye.
bye.